Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Derek and Eric here. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Let's start off with Nancy Pelosi, shall we? This is her first time sort of hearing from her speaking out about the attack on her husband, Paul Pelosi, at their home in San Francisco. You remember, Nancy wasn't there that night, so this is entirely an interaction between Paul and what sounds like a crazed man sort of in their house wielding a hammer.
Yeah, wanted to asking like, where's Nancy? And wanted to break her kneecaps.
Yes. Sort of a mini January 6th, like a guy sort of storming around demanding to see someone.
Yeah.
I remember in January 6th, where's Mike Pence? Where's Nancy?
Yeah.
That was a sort of rallying call of
So Nancy's talking to Anderson Cooper now about this. And obviously, I think she's very angry at the guy who broke in. Also very angry at Donald Trump and Elon Musk for speaking about this. She's referencing...
Which you knew they would. You knew at least Donald Trump would say something and Elon Musk getting into the action as well.
People, being kind of laughing about this situation is bad enough. One of the issues she has with Elon is about him retweeting a story from a very weird fringe website implying all kinds of things about a relationship between Paul and the attacker and that he was drunk and blah, blah, blah. And Elon just said, there's a tiny possibility there might be more to this story than meets the eye. Which
he thinks, in his mind, I'm sure sounds like, I'm being kind of responsible here. I'm noting that this is a conspiracy theory, but, some conspiracy theories are true. So he floats it out there. The irresponsibility of this move is unbelievable. Now he owns Twitter.
A tiny possibility it's true. Then you could find any fringe article about anybody and just post it and go, there's a tiny possibility it's true.
Things feel different with him owning the company, don't they?
Yes.
Like, it's different than being a troll on the platform and owning the company and floating this stuff.
Yeah, it gives it some legitimacy. So this is what Nancy had to say to Anderson about all this.
Former President of the United States, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, others have spread stories casting doubt on what happened, fomenting conspiracy theories. What do you have to say to them?
It's really sad for the country. It's really sad for the country that people of that high visibility would separate themselves from the facts and the truth in such a blatant way. It's really sad, and it is traumatizing to those affected by it. They don't care about that, obviously, but it's destructive to the unity that we want to have in our country. But I don't have anything to say to them. I mean, we have nothing. There would be no common ground to have any conversation with them.
Yeah, that's sad. When there's no conversation left to have, then where do you go from there?
This is what Harvey's been saying is the sides are so polarized at this point that there is no room for common ground and conversation, which is the lifeblood of a democracy, is having two parties that sort of hash things out. There's a spirit of compromise. That's just gone. And obviously this is a different situation, given that it's not a political issue. It's sort of an attack. But she's saying, we can't even agree that my husband was attacked by a guy in my home. What's there left to talk about?
But it is sort of political, and this is the sad thing about it, because it's not just Donald Trump and Elon Musk. A lot of people who hate Nancy Pelosi were like kind of laughing about this and cheering it and championing it. You can hate Nancy Pelosi, go right ahead, but this is wrong. This is bad. And there are lots of politicians I don't care for. I would love to see them voted out. What I don't want to see happen is people break into their homes and attack them and attack their spouses and loved ones. Like, that's insane.
You say it is wrong, and I agree with you. We're sort of in our own little echo chamber, but
the people, even an echo chamber.
The people aren't laughing because they believe it's true. They believe it's a false flag. They believe this is
there are
cooked
people
up by
who
the
are
Democrats.
Very happy they think this is Nancy getting what she deserves.
There is some of that. There's definitely
that's
some of Nancy got what she had coming because she's a bad person. There's also a group of people though who believe it didn't happen, and that's the strange part, who believe that this is part of a false flag to influence the election, that they actually knew each other. That's what Elon was spinning when he sent that article. That stuff is really destructive to truth and sort of understanding and reality and the fabric of sort of common ground. And here we have the internet, which is supposed to be this vast access to information and get us all on the same page so we all know everything. We actually know nothing. We know less, because everything is challengeable and there is no reality. It's a very, very strange position to be in. She also sort of talked in this interview about sort of the trauma that she felt from this. When your home is invaded,
course.
even if you're not there, there's a sense of security that's lost. Now he will always sort of, it sounds like she'll always sort of have to grapple with the fact that that bubble has been breached, and you never sort of recapture the feeling of safety.
A stranger in your home swinging a hammer at you, how do you ever feel safe?
Now, I anticipate this will all be mocked as well. Like,
course
people
it will.
will look at this interview and they'll meme her trauma, and that's the disgusting part. I mean, look, I don't know actually, to a degree of absolute certainty if she's really feeling traumatized, but at some point you have to take people at their face value, and it seems like she was traumatized by it. So
not feel traumatized, like somebody broke into your house
Strange.
and beat your elderly husband with a hammer. That's traumatizing.
Yeah.
For anybody. That's not a
It's
political
strange
thing.
to draw the opposite conclusion from
It
watching
is.
someone say, "I'm traumatized. My husband was beat with a hammer." You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
guess you can. Everyone's entitled to their own sort of thoughts, but it's a very strange conclusion. This is a strange microcosm of where we are politically, because you would think everyone can agree people shouldn't be hurt, people shouldn't have their homes invaded, even politicians who hate each other, but we can't even
That's
agree
not a
on
political,
that.
like I said, again, that's not a political stance. I don't want Democrat or Republicans to have, people break into their homes and assault them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous route for this country to
And
go.
interestingly, in the wake of the Roe v. Wade reversal, you remember some of the justices' homes were targeted. I remember the Democrats saying, this is out of bounds. This is out of bounds to attack someone's home. We don't do that here in America.
Even that was...
And they disagree with the opinion.
It is off limits to go to somebody's home, but even that was protesting on the street. If somebody broke into Brett Kavanaugh's home and attacked his wife with a hammer, absolutely not.
You would hope.
That is horrible. Don't do that. I don't know what else to say.
Strange sign of the times. Okay, let's move on to the very, very sad saga of Aaron Carter. We're learning more as the days go on. He was found dead in his bathtub on Saturday. The last time he was seen alive was 2 a.m. on Friday. Apparently, he was supposed to attend a rehab session on Saturday that he missed.
An online session.
An online session, yes, but he missed that.
And now the likely theory is that he missed it because he was already dead.
Yeah, listen, he's struggled a lot, and now we know what was at the scene of the death. There were multiple cans of compressed air. There's sort of, you can buy these things to clean your keyboard. There's ways to get compressed air. There were allegations from people on the internet. They would watch his live stream, and they were worried that he was huffing.
Because
that was a story.
He posted a video recently. It was live streaming where the camera went dark, and you just heard what sounded like him huffing.
Yes.
And fans became very concerned at that point. And then
there was a wellness check, though, and
Yes.
that turned out to be okay at the time.
But people were already suspecting that, and you could say, well, that's just a theory. But then they found, we don't have a cause of death yet. We should say that. Like the medical report's not come out yet, what the actual cause of death was. But there were pills and compressed air cans at the scene. And
we know he's someone who battled openly with substance abuse and things.
I don't think this is a huge leap of logic here.
It's not. I mean, we'll have to wait to see what the final sort of autopsy, what the medical examiner has to say about the cause of death. But the signs are starting to sort of look like there were some substances involved, and maybe an accidental death, maybe a suicide. I don't know if that element will ever actually know.
Just guessing what it appears to be is very similar to Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Someone whose body just gave out and they drowned in a tub. And it's just
At
sad
34 years old, Whitney Houston was what?
48.
48. I mean, these are young people, vibrant people, full of life when you think of them in your mind's eye. And Aaron Carter, even though he struggled, was a young man, much younger than you or I. And he was focused on making new music in recent weeks. There was talk that he was going to, drop a new album, maybe mend fences with his brother, Nick Carter. Who knows if any of that would have come to fruition or materialized.
To have a relationship with his son.
Had a fiance.
So this seems, suicide seems fairly unlikely. There's no indication of that. The sad thing is, since he was 9 years old when he became famous, and then he started struggling fairly early on, like in his teen years, we've all watched this happen slowly for a very long time.
Yes.
But there's nothing you can do.
No.
We know none of us knew him personally, and even like his family, his brother, his fiance, they tried to help him.
Yes.
But like they say with an addict, they have to want it for themselves. And there were times he did, and he made it, and then he would fall off the wagon again. That's why this is just so sad, because you watch someone trying.
Yes.
And just ultimately failed.
And you see family, look, when someone like this is in your life, Nick Carter spoke about loving his brother and the love never fading, but when someone is destructive and you start to form your own family, Nick had to pull away at times, and there's no judgment, but I'm sure Nick feels guilt about it. It's just a natural human feeling to feel, but it's not his fault.
We don't know all of the ups and downs of their relationship over the years. And after Aaron died, Nick came out and said that, of course he loves him. It's his brother. He will always love him no matter what their issues were.
Yeah.
But again, like with addicts, you can't make them get better.
Yeah. They have to want to get better.
They have to want it.
That's part of the disease.
And the sad thing is, it seemed like Aaron wanted it, but just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, it's really sad. Look, he's a little bit younger for my generation to sort of have a strong musical connection. I didn't grow up listening to
we know somebody
Aaron
here
Carter.
at work who is the same age as Aaron Carter and cried yesterday.
It impacted her deeply, Courtney.
He was my idol when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. He was her peer. He made fun music. Aaron's Party was a catchy song.
Yes.
And so to see where his life went, it's just sad.
I've been finding myself watching old interviews with him when already his life had hit some hurdles and so forth. And there's a sadness when you watch these things now, knowing that he passed away in a bathtub. I used to look at him as like, oh, he's quite annoying. He's one of those celebrities who's like a has-been and just sort of hung around. And now it's just clouded by a lot of like grief and sadness because he was going through a lot. And he was pretty open about it. He would speak about his troubles and his struggles with sobriety and so forth. And now when you view those things, it's hard. It's difficult. There's a human compassion.
Anecdotally, I met him once in the mid-2000s.
Oh, really?
When I lived in Orlando. That was the big boy band epicenter, so we were doing some interviews. And he was, I guess, in his mid to late teens at that point, so still very young. And I just remember being struck by how sad he seemed.
Yeah.
He just seemed so distant. And it's like, I remember just thinking, like, it's weird for a teenager to be like that.
Yeah. And he was hugely famous at that time. There was a time when his music was, even if you and I weren't listening to it, it was big and relevant. He was dunking on Shaq and so forth. I Want Candy. His remake is actually what probably people like Courtney know. We know the Bow Wow Wow song.
And even that was a cover.
And Harvey knows the other song.
Yeah. But his songs weren't like huge number one hits, but his albums sold millions of copies. His fans were there, and they're very sad. I think everybody's
very sad.
Everybody's sad. It's just a sad situation.
Yeah. So we'll learn more about that. Let's move on to a lawsuit that is very, very interesting to me. This is Drake getting sued by Vogue.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So Drake and 21 Savage, their new album, Her Loss, is out. It's a huge album. So they've been doing a lot of sort of fake promo.
Yeah.
Like they did like a fake SNL performance. They didn't actually go on SNL, but they had Michael B. Jordan introduce them. They performed on a replica of the set. They did a fake NPR performance. So that instead of doing the actual promo, they're faking it. So
we call it faking, but it was like a theme.
No,
it sounds so nefarious. But
they're not trying to fool people.
Yeah.
But they did fool, I guess, Vogue. So they did a fake Vogue cover with Drake and 21 Savage on the cover. They actually printed up a fake magazine with a photoshopped photo of Anna Wintour and Drake together, which... Are there not real photos of them together? I would assume.
And therein is the problem, right?
Yeah.
So they mock up a copy of Drake and Anna Wintour on the cover of Vogue. Is that
no, she's not on the cover.
Sorry, they mock up
inside.
a copy
it's on the interior.
of Drake, which is very believable.
Very believable.
The problem is a mock-up like that could exist and
it
could
doesn't
cause
seem like parody.
Confusion.
So that's the thing. So now fans are wanting this special edition of Vogue. And so now Vogue and Condé Nast, their publisher, are suing Drake for $4 million.
Saying you confused our customers. Look, at first I thought, what a silly lawsuit, because Anna Wintour and Drake seem simpatico. They seem like they occupy the same space in people's heads. They're, Drake is into fashion and high-end, sort of things.
It's
Anna
not
Wintour,
unrealistic to think that Vogue would do a special issue.
That's right.
With Drake promoting this album.
And therein lies the problem. Now, if let's say, like Honey Boo Boo, if Honey Boo Boo was promoting something and mocked up a cover of Vogue,
shot at Honey Boo Boo.
I don't know.
Come on,
it seemed like someone who would never grace the cover of Vogue. I don't think they'd have as good of a lawsuit, because then it would fit squarely in parody.
Yeah.
It'd be like, any idiot would know that Honey Boo Boo's not on the cover of Vogue. Not any idiot knows.
This is genuine marketplace confusion. And honestly, to be real, I saw the video, the SNL performance. I just saw like the thumbnail of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's them on the set at SNL that I've seen a million times. And I was like, wait, he wasn't the musical guest this week. When did this happen?
But it might fool you.
For a second, I was like, what is this? I'm like, oh, okay, he's just recreating it, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yes.
But it was confusing at first.
Yeah, you would think if you're going to do this and you're so closely associated with this world that you might want to get clearance. You might want to say, hey, Vogue, I'm doing this. Maybe get them in on the joke, do some new pictures to sort of enhance the reality or the realistic sort of, sort of scene that you're creating. But they didn't do that, and now they're facing a lawsuit, which is wild. I don't think this kind of lawsuit will go the distance. I think they're suing for $4 million. The lawsuit gets some coverage and tells people, hey, we weren't in on this. And then maybe they'll settle. I don't think Drake and Anna Wintour want to be in a lawsuit for a long period of time, really. Like,
what's
duking
also
it
so
out.
weird to me is usually this kind of thing is because it's damaging to a brand. But this is not damaging to Vogue.
That's
all
a good
it
point.
is it's showing them that there is demand for this, so why not just do a special issue with Drake?
I think that might be where the settlement ends up. Because you're right. At some point, you have to prove both that they intentionally, misappropriated Vogue. Fine, they can maybe get there. It caused some confusion. Yes. What are your damages?
Well,
did it hurt your brand? Is Vogue is Condé Nast worth less because of Drake doing this?
It's sort
probably
of funny.
not. It's probably worth more.
There's a lyric on the new album where Drake talks about like trying to impress a girl. He's like, like the 90s R&B group with one phone call, I can get you in Vogue. But he probably could. Drake could probably make a phone call and get somebody in Vogue if he wanted.
Probably.
Or at least
maybe
get them
not
a meeting.
now. Maybe not now. Now that he's pissed off Condé Nast. But
maybe.
I think you're right. I mean, it's interesting as a lawsuit is I don't think it's going to go the distance because there's not going to be. You don't want to see damages experts say we lost a lot of value because Drake did this. I don't think they're going to be able to prove that. And Drake is going to bring in his own experts and say like, I actually improved the value. You sold more magazines after this.
The problem is for Vogue is that people are now asking how they can get the magazine. So he just created demand for a product they don't have yet.
Yeah. So maybe the lawsuit is just to make everyone aware, hey, we're not in on it. Or if you're a real conspiracy theorist, that the lawsuit's part of the promotion and now we get more press. I doubt that's the case.
Who even knows?
But
We're
your
so
mind,
far
the
down the
mind
rabbit
is,
hole.
my mind is reeling now.
I
All
don't
right.
know.
Let's move to my final story. This is a fun one. So Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos grabbed dinner. Now, why is this important? They went to a restaurant on the Sunset Strip called Horses around 7:30 p.m. These are two massive, massive moguls.
Also, remember, Horses, it's not open on Mondays.
Oh.
They opened just for Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z.
It's good to be the kings.
It really
is really good to be the
multi-billionaires.
kings. So why this is interesting is a couple days it was revealed that revealed that both of them have interest in buying a football team.
The Washington Commanders.
The Washington Commanders on the East Coast in D.C. Dan Snyder was the owner of that team, fell into huge amounts of scandal. There were reports of sexual misconduct and just a place that was rife with sort of discrimination and yucky workplace.
So he's just going to get paid and go away.
So he's going to say, all right, I'll just be a billionaire. I'll sell my team, which is valued around $5.6 billion.
He's selling it for more than $7.
Yeah.
$7 billion. Now, what's interesting to me, so we know that Jeff and Jay-Z both are interested in buying the team. So they're probably meeting to go halvesies on it, I would guess.
Yes. Now, Jeff can buy it himself.
That's what I'm thinking. So Jay-Z is a billionaire, but I don't think he could just drop $7 billion on the Commanders. Jeff Bezos probably could.
Yes. Jeff Bezos could buy this team just like Elon Musk bought Twitter himself. He has enough money to buy it outright.
But also,
and not
how
really
cool
feel
is it
even.
to do it with Jay-Z?
It's not
That's
only
the
cool,
thing.
it really helps your ownership. When you buy a sports league, unlike Twitter, look, Elon Musk said, I want Twitter. I want to make an edit button and they won't make it for me. I'll buy Twitter. You can do sort of impulsive things as a mega billionaire. Buying a sports team, you want a face of the franchise, right? And when the Dodgers were bought, there was big money, $1 billion, and then they had Magic Johnson as the front man, who is the unofficial mayor of LA. And it brings a sort of warmth, good feeling about like, oh, this team's in good hands. They're with a legend.
Yeah.
If you bring Jay-Z to your ownership team.
And Jay-Z's got his Rock Nation involved in sports. He had his deals with the NFL for the Super Bowl, which
he's done the Super Bowl halftime show, right?
No. Jay did not do the half bowl super. No,
Jay-Z didn't do it. No, he wasn't part of the team of people. Not yet,
Oh,
but he's part of it. But he's part of signing
but
up all those.
But he understands
acts.
the ins and outs, the inside workings of the NFL and football and sports, and he's knowledgeable in that. It's not just like some random person like, hey, I like the Commanders, I'm going to buy some.
No, he's in the world of sports and
Yeah.
entertainment.
So the two
a lot
of them
synergies
are meeting, and I'm sure that's what's funny is Jeff and Lauren Sanchez showed up together. Jay showed up with Corey Gamble randomly. I don't know why he was there, but you know Jeff and Lauren were like, is Beyonce coming?
Yeah, is she gonna be here, or is it just Corey? Is
okay.
Corey the only one? Or should we keep an extra plate open? It'll be fascinating. I think this is now a very strong sign that something is going to move forward because, as we said, Jeff Bezos has enough money. He doesn't need a huge ownership group where he has to sort of hand around the collection plate for
and Jay-Z's not hurting for cash
billions
himself,
of dollars. And
so.
Jay-Z's not hurting for cash. I think he'll put up a little money. He'll be the face of the franchise. And nothing could be better for the Washington Commanders than getting a new ownership group, a fresh start away from Dan Snyder.
And Jay-Z. And also, fun story, little add-on to this story here is, so they opened the restaurant on a Monday just for the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff left around 9:30.
Yep.
Jay left a little bit after midnight.
Oh, wow. So Jay
just
still
hanging out with Corey Gamble.
Because Jay still parties, man. He's
know.
still cool.
That's
Jeff
why
is like
if you're
9
Jeff
o'clock.
Bezos, you want to get with Jay-Z.
It's a good point. All right, we'll see you guys next time.